You enter once again on a journey of the mind. One heathen's love of poorly impersonating Twilight Show host Rod Serling brings you to this point in time. Will this man preach to you about being more faithful to the gods? Will he tell you a Mjolnir must dangle from your neck so you can be a better heathen? Will this man sell you anointed oils promising you divine intervention? Or will this man just simply sit back and have an honest conversation about the faith that changed his life? This, my friends, is I Am Heathen, and so can you. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of I Am Heathen, and so can you. I am your host, Z-list celebrity, legend in his own mind, and unfortunately still not a fucking Viking, Einar. I'd like to take a minute to just apologize for the audio quality on the previous episode. There's been a couple of bugs and glitches with editing, but I'm getting the hang of it, and I think we're back on track for this episode. Today, very much like the last episode, we're going to go completely off the cuff and completely unscripted, and just see where the hell the day takes us. So I thought it would be really cool to just kick back and talk about the goofiest shit I have heard since starting my path. Now, I will not name names here. I will not be saying directly who said it and why. I will be sharing stories that just made me turn my head as though I were a confused Pomeranian, just to simply say, "Oh?" Let's get into it. I think one of the first things I need to point out is I found what I deem the basis of community on TikTok, and a lot of really goofy-ass questions have been asked on that platform time and time again, leading to 35,000 different takes on the same question. Now, if you've been at this long enough, whether it's 10 minutes or 10 years, you would know that Mjolnir, Thor's hammer, is the one symbol that is as synonymous with our faith as the cross is for Christianity. You wear it about your neck. It is both the symbol of the god Thor and the symbol of our faith on the whole. A question came up that had stated, do you need to earn your Mjolnir? My first question to that question was, am I Hercules going through my labors? Am I laboring to prove myself to the gods in some grandiose, idiotic fashion? Am I turning around and saying 20 hail Thors and 40 hail Odins and 30 by the phallus of Freyrs to be deemed worthy to wear a Mjolnir? Now, there's a couple of caveats to that. Just a few, but they are so very small that they still warrant talking about. If you're part of a kindred that has a specific style of Mjolnir, and they encourage you to wear that style of Mjolnir after you've been accepted by the kindred as a full member, completely different thing. If you have some familial tradition that states, this is the symbol of our family, the style of this hammer has been worn by people in our family for years, completely okay, and completely different from what I have to say. I'm talking about the people who turn around and say, you ain't a real pagan. You ain't done nothing to earn your Mjolnir. Why are you trying to tell me that you ain't got to earn a Mjolnir? My buddy told me I needed to go punch a kangaroo in the mouth on a Sunday on the third blood moon of the month, and I will be gifted the strength of Thor. That was embellished, if you couldn't tell. However, there are many stories I've heard out of the mouths of pagans who have been told, you need to beat somebody's ass in order to earn a Mjolnir. You need to kiss up to the leader of this kindred for X amount of times to earn your Mjolnir. You need to take a fucking life to earn a Mjolnir. Now, let's ask this question aloud, and I think I'm going to be able to provide an accurate answer. Do you need to earn a Mjolnir? The answer is a big, fat, resounding highly shocking. No, there is nothing in our lore, nothing in our stories that says you need to venture out and prove yourself to be worthy of placing a hammer on your neck. And technically speaking, since we've all bought them, and unless we've been given them, the cash you earned to pay for that Mjolnir is owning that Mjolnir. If someone approaches you and says, "What did you do to earn that Mjolnir?" question where they learned that from, and question where they heard these statements from, because I can guarantee you it is from some of the most unsavory sources that our faith is capable of mustering. And as far as unsavory sources and paganism is concerned, that's pretty damn steep. Bottom line, it is your money, your symbol of this faith. Buy it, wear it, forget what anybody else has to say. One of the other stories that I think we need to discuss is titles in this faith. It's not really a story, it's more of a rant. Let's put it like that. There's titles in this faith. A very wise man once said that everybody wants to be king. Everybody wants a title. Everybody wants to feel like they have some position of authority and dominion over others. And I genuinely believe that to be true. I have let my ego get in the way, and I have let a title almost absolutely John Wilkes Booth many friendships. There is nothing wrong with having a title. It's what you do to back that title up that matters. Another very wise man once said, "There are 300 vulva in the world, and I've met all 3,000 of them." I have seen people on social media who say they are a Norse Satanist vulva witch. I've seen people turn around and say that they are a Satanist Norse Gothi, a Norse Kabbalist. That's a new one for me. And the fact of the matter is, there is nothing wrong with exploring your faith. Nothing wrong with it at all. But when you utilize a title to turn around and say, "I am better than you because XYZ, you need to give your fucking head a shake. Because at the end of the day, in the immortal words of Sammy Davis Jr. on All in the Family, my brothers and sisters, you ain't better than nobody." I think another thing that has to be discussed with these misconceptions, and this is honestly more of an educational thing at this point, is UPG, standing for Unverified Personal Gnosis. Your personal experiences within the faith that can't be backed up by lore or precedent in any of our texts. That's like my story of believing I met Odin. Those stories and experiences that make you honestly believe that any semblance of normalcy and convention of anything we think of as normal goes right out the fucking window. I used to say that all forms of UPG are valid, but if Odin commands you to rob a liquor store, you're on your own. Now, why do I say that? Because I have known quite a few people who have turned to UPG and have used it to extremely harmful ends. And these harmful ends have led to many people wanting to walk away from the faith. It has led to people returning to the faith that didn't make them feel welcome to begin with because they felt they had no other place to turn. And to put a nice, neat, even little bow on this thing, I also want to talk about mythic literalism, because I genuinely believe in my heart of hearts that believing that the word, the stories, are etched in stone and they cannot be changed in any way, shape, or form does not permit you to grow and be better in your practice, to be a better pagan. I like to talk about how I heathen, and I hope my talks of how I heathen inspire people to heathen better. And personally, I look at mythic literalism as something incredibly unhealthy, and a lot of the people who look to mythic literalism as a legitimate perspective are tremendously narrow-minded in how they view the gods, they view the spirits, they view the stories. For example, Loki is gender fluid. In the story Thrimskvitha, Loki is referred to by both masculine and feminine pronouns, continuously switching between the two, while Thor squeezed his big ass into a white dress, pretending to be Freya, was continuously addressed with masculine pronouns. And there are people in our faith who genuinely believe that, well, that doesn't mean that he was... That does not mean that Loki is gender fluid or trans, okay? He practiced magic, and that's why he was perceived as a woman. You see why that doesn't make sense. So, the thing is, for me, I think there are certain elements of the lore that are inflexible, and I'm very hardline in my interpretations, but I will never debate you on your interpretation of it unless it proves to be harmful to you or somebody else. Let's look at, for example, yet again, the LGBTQIA+ identity within heathenry. I think this is probably the biggest sticking point I have for this argument, that mythic literalism is tremendously unhealthy. In Lokasena, despite the fact that in our stories Loki has been both man and woman, and a horse, as a jab to Odin, Loki said, "You lived on the Isle of Sampso for 9 years as a woman. I call that a pervert's way of living." Odin says to Loki, "And you lived as a horse and gave birth to a horse. I consider that a pervert's way of living." Now, if you want to look at this from a absolutely blind, stinking, literal standpoint, neither of them are gender fluid. But again, I would have to bring up, why is Loki referred to with both masculine and feminine pronouns at the same time? This might not have been the flavor of the day in Viking Age Scandinavia or in Iceland in the 13th century when this was written, but the fact remains the same. Faith evolves, faith grows, faith takes on new nuance, new shades to what it once was to make it something completely different. And I think it's really important that we acknowledge that in order to grow and progress on our path. And if more people come up and try to tell others that mythic literalism is the only way to view their faith, I would honestly tell them to look at their undeconstructed Abrahamic baggage, because that's what Christians do. Christians do believe in the word, everything is unmovable, immovable, unflappable, and to question God is to commit heresy. What'd you guys think of today's episode? I did like doing these off-the-cuff, unscripted things. I might do this again, but I'd like your comments down below. Give us a rating, man. Give us a like, give us a share. Let us know what you think. We can only grow higher and better from here. With that said, I am your host, zealous celebrity, and still not a goddamn Viking, Einar. For everybody here at the Blackthorn Podcast Network, for everybody here at I Am Heathen and So Can You, I raise a glass to you all, my friends. And unlike our previous episode, the tradition of a toast still stands. So if you have a drink in your hand, raise it up. And if you don't, dude, we've been through this before. Get a drink while you're listening to me ramble and raise that fucker up high. Hail the gods, hail the folk, hail the spirits, hail the ancestors, and most importantly, hail yourself. If you want to connect with us on a more personal level, you can find us on TikTok and on Instagram at I Am Heathen POD. That's I Am Heathen POD on TikTok and on Instagram. We'll be moving to Facebook shortly, but at present, like I said, it's all the time we have for today, everybody. Glad you came out. Glad you enjoyed it. Catch you guys next week. This has been a Blackthorn production.